Hi, I'm McCauley, and you're watching accesstv.org.
Good morning and welcome to the challenge. As always, first and foremost, I want to thank God for another opportunity and thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. We're excited this morning about our guest who has consented to stop by and share with us some grassroots solutions. I call them. I think that they are focused and they are doing a good work, and certainly my hope is that they will continue. My guest this morning is Daniel Torres. Daniel Torres, welcome to the challenge.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, the pleasure's all mine. We have been focusing on solutions to problems here on the challenge, and we've noticed that you, as the executive director of something called Restoring Lives Ministry Development Corporation, is working by way of the church,
right,
if you will, on addressing problems that we are having in our community, and specifically those problems that pertain to the family and pertain to individuals, if you will, who have special issues, if you will, with respect to their families. Tell us a little bit more about your work as the executive director there at Restoring Lives Ministry. Why you and how it all started.
Okay. Well, as I was sharing with you a little earlier, I was telling you that Bishop and Pastor Torres are going to be celebrating 20 years of ministry here in Hartford. So they, when they came in over there on Same Street, the church was called the Tabernacle.
Yeah.
And the Tabernacle has been in Hartford. Actually, it's the first Latino church formed in Hartford over a 55-year history.
Wow.
So they came into the North End to the Tabernacle. And since then, they've done an incredible job.
Absolutely.
The newest and the most visible thing is the new sanctuary.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sitting on Main Street, which is beautiful.
Extraordinary, it really is.
And from I wasn't here when that whole construction project was happening. I wasn't part of the church or of this church in particular at that time. But what was what happened was the community and the city basically were telling Bishop Torres and Pastor Torres, we want this church and we want this facility to really be a community focal point.
Absolutely.
A cornerstone to
Absolutely.
build up the community.
Absolutely.
And it was an incredible project, a beautiful project. I can tell you that 20 years ago when Bishop Torres got here, the majority of the congregation was from the North End. The majority of the congregation was probably low income, receiving public assistance, very low percentage of home ownership, very low percentage of assimilation, and basically building roots here in the city.
Right.
And their message from the get-go was, listen, this is a beautiful city. This is a city that has a rich religious history.
Sure.
City created by a Congregationalist pastor.
That's right.
So he started to preach on becoming more grounded. Becoming residents and citizens of the city of Hartford, and loving the city.
Yeah.
And so what we saw was a great growth and stability within our church community.
Yeah.
To the point where today 85% of the members of the church are no longer receiving public assistance,
Wow.
but are actually, productive and active members of the community.
Now, give me some numbers on what do you think the estimate of the membership in the congregation is?
Well, about 15 years ago, they decided to switch from strictly Latino focus and become more multicultural.
Uh-huh.
And today, I think there's probably about 12 different cultures and ethnic groups represented at the church. We probably have between 500 and 600 regularly going to our Spanish service, and then probably another 300 or 400 going to our English service. And our English service is kind of interesting because it's largely comprised of young men and women that are no longer dominant in Spanish as their primary language. So they have transitioned. The community has transitioned, and being a church that wants to be effective and meet the needs of the community. So we have transitioned and have started to meet the needs of the second and third generation of Hispanics that no longer are Spanish dominant.
Yeah. And if you'll allow me to give some additional context to what you say, this is considered by some to be one of the more dangerous cities in America. In one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America, if you will. At least that's what's been reported through some mainstream, if you will, outlets, if you will, mediums. Right. So what makes it especially extraordinary that your work is being done there and being as effective as it is the fact that you've been there now 20 years and counting and continuing to transform lives.
Right.
I mean, so despite what all of the naysayers may say, there is still great work being done in the community by the church.
Oh, there's awesome work being done by the church. And churches in the neighborhood.
Amen.
There's an abundance of churches in the North End.
That's right.
Some people would say.
Right.
But let me tell you this: in addressing, the danger, in quotation marks,
right.
We've spent the last 24 days. Community canvassing for a project that we're doing with the Hartford Public Schools, specifically addressing the turnaround for the Sands School.
Yeah.
And we've knocked on over 350 doors in the neighborhood. We've been out, in the neighborhood, early morning, midday, late afternoon.
Right.
Canvassing, knocking on doors, talking to people, conducting these surveys.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, we've had absolutely no incidents.
Wow.
So the North End, I mean, we've been blessed in the North End.
Yeah.
Our church is highly respected. We have
Absolutely.
no incidents of vandalism.
Right.
No incidents of graffiti.
Right.
I mean, so the community has embraced, the church, and I would say the churches, because I think the North End is a great place to be at.
I think it's a gold mine. I think the talent that exists inside of the North End, you guys are are continuing to develop, because I know as a part of the ministry there's something called the RLM DC, the Development Corporation, which you run, that does something that adds and enhances the ministry, if you will, or because I think part of the misunderstanding is that the church is just a place you come and worship and you teach Bible study and that sort of thing, but in fact, you're trying to actually develop the talent that's within the church, and to develop the community, if you will, that the church is in and that surrounds the church.
Right. I say something jokingly, and I say that Bishop Torres and Pastor Torres, spent $5 million on this construction project, between demolishing and buying all the properties that they needed to buy, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And now they're paying me to knock down the walls, if you will.
Sure.
By, just telling the community, come on in. We have, God has graced us with a beautiful facility.
Right.
We have a gymnasium called a multi-purpose room, which we can sit, for a dinner, we can sit 300 people. For a gymnasium, we could have a full court basketball game. We have a computer room that's with 20 computer lab.
So you're able to hold special events that can cater to hundreds of people. Okay.
Right. And we have over 10 classrooms.
You have a commercial kitchen?
We have a commercial kitchen. Yes.
Wow.
So the facility is absolutely a great resource for the North End. But not only that, we've been graced with great, facilities, so that's a resource. But our people resource is probably even more remarkable. We have, which is very different from the community that we're in. 85% of our congregation has a high school degree and above.
Oh wow!
And right now it's very interesting, because when the young men and women graduate from high school, we ask them to come out, to wear their caps and gowns and to come out to the front of the church where we bless them and everything. And probably about 87 to 90% of the young men and women are going to, after high school education, either trade schools or colleges and universities. We have a pastoral counseling clinic that right now is mostly available to church members, but we're looking to expand that to the community at large. And I believe we have over 8 therapists with master's levels and above.
Wow.
At least 2 that have their doctorate degrees.
Wow.
And, so it's a vibrant church that's not only facility rich but also people rich and people resource rich.
Absolutely. So now, is it open to the general public on a regular time schedule? I mean, is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Well, Restoring Lives is operates 9 to 5 officially, but I'm not kind of a 9 to 5 guy.
I understand, sure.
So we're there longer. We're there, doing whatever needs to be done.
Okay.
To get the work done. I mean, as I told you and I just mentioned, this project for Sands School, we're probably going to turn out close to an 80% response rate on the survey collection and this community canvassing.
Right.
So we're going to get a good feel as to what the parents think should happen at Sands School in terms of redesign, and in terms of what kind of an educational focus they want. So it's we're gathering some great information and doing some great work for the school department there. And then we got this will be our 6th summer that we will have the Capital Workforce Summer Youth Employment Program at our facility. And I believe we'll have a minimum of 150 young men and women in the Tier 1 program this summer.
Wow.
So,
wow.
and the great thing about that is that, you know, we use most of our college young men and women that are in college.
Sure.
To teach that program.
Right.
So what's happening is these, you know, freshmen and sophomores in high schools are getting mentorship from a young man and woman that's going to college, that's made it through high school, a very positive influence. And these kids are doing some phenomenal work. So at the same time, we're trying to connect these kids and keep them connected with some young men and women that are going places.
Well, you know, I think Bishop Jeremiah Torres and Daniel Torres, you guys sort of epitomize in my mind, you know, what it means to serve, if you will, and how awesome it can be when it's connected to the church, if you will. You know, I can't help but think about Jeremiah, who was they considered the weeping prophet. You know, but the work that he did, you know, I tell you, don't come down. You know, stay on the wall and don't come down. We're going to have to stop right here, but we're certainly going to bring you back. You've blessed our hearts this morning, and quite frankly, I think you continue to be a blessing to the community. Thank you for tuning in to the challenge this morning. Remember, be blessed.